The most dangerous lie in business isn't that you'll fail, it's that you think you're trying. That the leads you chase, the ads you run, the content you create, the calls you make, they are working. Here's the unthinkable truth. Most entrepreneurs are drowning in invisible leads that will never convert, wasting millions in time, energy, and hope. And yet, every day, they wake up and do the same thing again, blind to the fact that there is a way to make leads chase them, beg them, and pay before they even realize it. Imagine this. You are sitting at your desk, staring at your inbox, your CRM, your dashboard. Hundreds of names, thousands of emails, dozens of promising leads. And yet, nothing moves. Nothing converts. Nothing grows. That frustration isn't a mistake. It's a system failure, a failure you didn't know existed until now. Because the secret is not harder marketing. It's not bigger ads. It's not endless hustle. The secret is a hidden architecture of human desire, scarcity, and decision-making. A system that, once understood, turns ordinary leads into magnetic opportunities. A single misalignment in your offer, your message, your positioning, and all those leads remain invisible, untouched, worthless. Here's the paradox. The path to $100 million is not blocked by money, talent, or connections. It's blocked by misunderstanding how humans respond to value, urgency, and clarity. Miss this, and no matter how many leads you chase, you will grind endlessly, hoping, praying, and failing. But what if I told you that one shift, a single radical adjustment in how you perceive leads can make them run to you, clamor for your offer, and convert like clockwork? That one insight alone separates the amateurs from the elite, the ones struggling in obscurity from the ones building $100 million empires in a fraction of the time. The next hour will shatter everything you thought you knew about leads, sales, and growth. Every paradigm you've relied on will collapse. Every rule you have followed will be rewritten. You will witness the invisible threads that connect human desire to irresistible offers. You will discover the psychological triggers, the magnetic pull, the invisible mechanisms that turn a lead into a loyal buyer, a buyer into a raving evangelist, and that evangelist into a self-propelling engine of growth. And here's the cruel brilliance. The truths you're about to learn are simple, but so few implement them. Simplicity in action is devastatingly powerful. Complexity is a trap. Confusion is your enemy. By the end of this journey, the way you generate leads, sell offers, and scale businesses will feel so inevitable, so precise, that you'll wonder why the world didn't teach you this from day one. The clock is ticking. Every lead you ignore, every message you misplace, every opportunity you squander is money walking out the door. The next chapter will introduce you to the first hidden layer of this $100 million architecture, a principle so counterintuitive, so disruptive, that it will make everything you know about leads feel obsolete. Brace yourself. Nothing you've experienced in business, marketing, or entrepreneurship will prepare you for what comes next. Because this is not theory. This is a blueprint for building magnetic, unstoppable $100 million lead systems, and it starts now. Chapter 1. The Hidden Anatomy of a Lead. You've been taught to chase leads like they're currency, like every name, every number, every click holds value simply by existing. That's the trap. The truth is brutal. A lead has no inherent worth. A lead is nothing without context, without precision, without an irresistible offer pulling it toward you like gravity. Most entrepreneurs chase ghosts, thinking activity equals growth, effort equals results, when in reality they're spinning wheels in a swamp of illusions. Imagine a crowded room. Hundreds of people milling about, voices rising and falling, all trying to get noticed. That room is your market. Some people are talking to themselves, some are testing the waters, but only a few are standing at the exact moment, hands outstretched, ready to act. These are not random. These are the rare magnetic leads. And yet, most businesses spend their entire lives chasing the rest. Leads exist in three invisible states, and understanding this distinction is your first weapon: the dormant lead, the testing lead, and the magnetic lead. The dormant lead looks promising, clicks a link, maybe even downloads a resource, but it is asleep. You cannot wake it with conventional tactics. The effort is wasted. The testing lead flirts with interest, explores your offer, probes for weaknesses, but it will retreat at the first sign of friction. Most entrepreneurs think converting them is the path to growth, but it is a battlefield you cannot win without knowing the rules. Then there is the magnetic lead, rare, undeniable, pulsing with readiness, itching for clarity, and desperate for transformation. It is invisible to the untrained eye, yet it is the single lifeline that can turn a business from stagnant to unstoppable. The secret is this: leads respond not to effort, but to clarity and value. People do not engage with products. They chase transformation. They respond to certainty. They will only act if your offer solves a problem in a way that feels immediate, inevitable, and unavoidable. Most entrepreneurs have it backward. They bombard, they persuade, they hustle. Magnetic leads do not need persuasion. They respond to resonance. They are drawn by alignment, precision, and the subtle gravitational pull of a promise fulfilled. Here's what the amateurs miss. A lead is a story waiting to be told, a narrative waiting to unfold. Every interaction, every touch point is a sentence in that story. If your story is weak, unclear, or drowned in noise, it dies before it begins. If your story is irresistible, magnetic, bold, and precise, it will pull the right lead from the chaos of the market directly to you. The more you understand the anatomy of a lead, the more predictable, repeatable, and powerful your system becomes. Consider the principle Alex Hormozi lays bare. The quality of leads is always a reflection of the strength of the offer. If leads do not convert, the fault is never theirs. It is in your messaging, positioning, and clarity. Magnetic leads are not created by chance. They are engineered through a deliberate architecture of attention, desire, and frictionless alignment. The more precise your map of human psychology, the fewer leads you need to hit extraordinary revenue. And yet, here is where most entrepreneurs stumble. They believe volume equals success. More leads will not save you if they are not magnetic. Thousands of names are worthless if none are ready, aligned, or compelled to act. Every misaligned lead is wasted energy, wasted time, wasted momentum. And in the economy of attention and desire, wasted energy is the fastest path to irrelevance. The first action you must take is to stop treating leads as numbers and start seeing them as vectors of transformation. Map their fears, desires, urgency, and scarcity. Identify the precise triggers that make them act immediately. Understand that every interaction is a test of alignment. Will they act now, or will they drift back into oblivion? Your entire strategy pivots on this awareness. By the end of this chapter, one truth must be etched in your mind. Not all leads are equal, and the few that matter are invisible until you know how to see them. The moment you recognize magnetic leads, the rest of the market, the noise, the false signals, the illusions of activity fades into irrelevance. And the revelation that follows will escalate everything you just learned. There is a hidden layer beneath the surface anatomy of leads, a method so counterintuitive, so precise, that it will make everything you've chased feel trivial. The leads you thought mattered will vanish in comparison. The architecture of $100 million level lead generation is about to be revealed, and it will change not just how you see leads, but how you see the entire game of business itself. Chapter 2: The Magnetic Architecture of Leads. Every business operates under a false assumption that leads appear randomly, like coins dropped from the sky. The truth is far more insidious, far more powerful. Leads are not random. They are not accidental. They are engineered, drawn by invisible forces, pulled by clarity, urgency, and irresistible alignment. Understanding this architecture is the difference between grinding endlessly in obscurity and commanding a stream of buyers who chase you relentlessly. Imagine a river. The water does not wander aimlessly. It flows, carving valleys, breaking rocks, creating channels. Your magnetic leads behave the same way. They will only flow where the landscape has been meticulously shaped to guide them. And this landscape, this architecture, is rarely obvious to the naked eye. Most entrepreneurs build businesses like dams in a river, blocking potential, creating turbulence, exhausting energy, and never realizing why the water refuses to flow. The first principle of magnetic architecture is alignment. Every element of your offer, messaging, positioning, and engagement must resonate with the desires of the lead at an almost invisible level. Misalignment, even subtle, and the lead drifts away. Alignment is not persuasion, it is precision. It is understanding what the lead craves, fears, and values, and engineering every interaction to reflect those invisible currents. The second principle is urgency. Magnetic leads act immediately because the architecture creates a pressure gradient. They are not just aware of your offer, they feel compelled, almost gravitationally, to engage. This is why scarcity, timing, and clarity are not marketing tricks. They are the structural beams of the system. Without them, the architecture collapses, and leads that could have converted vanish like smoke. The third principle is frictionless access. The most powerful architecture anticipates every hesitation, every doubt, every question before it arises. Every click, every email, every call is a perfectly calibrated pathway that reduces resistance, maximizes confidence, and channels desire into action. Every barrier you remove exponentially increases conversion. The path of least resistance is not convenience, it is inevitability. Magnetic leads follow it without thought, propelled by the invisible force of clarity meeting desire. Consider this. Businesses that scale to 7, 8, 9 figures do not randomly stumble onto these leads. They create systems that generate magnetic flow, capturing the attention of the exact right prospects and converting them with surgical precision. The emails that land, the ads that resonate, the calls that engage, they are not luck. They are the predictable outcome of an engineered architecture. Every element of this architecture can be quantified, measured, and optimized. The frequency of contact, the clarity of the offer, the presentation of scarcity, the anticipation of objections, all of it can be mapped like a machine, producing leads that not only convert, but become advocates. Magnetic leads are self-propagating. Once aligned with your system, they attract more of themselves, creating compounding growth that accelerates without additional effort. Yet here lies the subtle danger. This architecture is invisible to those who rely on brute force, volume, or activity without understanding. Hundreds of leads can flood a poorly designed system and convert nothing. Every wasted touchpoint erodes credibility, diminishes trust, and numbs the market to future offers. The difference between 1 million in revenue and 100 million in revenue is often not the number of leads, but the invisible precision of the architecture guiding them. By the end of this chapter, one immutable truth must be understood. Leads are drawn, not hunted. They flow, not chased. They convert, not persuaded. Every misstep in alignment, urgency, or friction destroys potential. Every refinement, every calibration, every micro-adjustment builds a force so magnetic that buyers cannot resist, customers cannot delay, and growth becomes inevitable. and the principle that follows will escalate the system to an almost unbelievable level. You will discover a method to make leads not just flow, but orbit your business with gravitational pull, unable to escape, compelled by forces most entrepreneurs will never understand. The next layer of $100 million level strategy will reveal that lead generation is not an art of chance. It is architecture, physics, and psychology fused into one unstoppable engine. Chapter 3: The $100 million Magnetic Lead System. By now, you understand that leads are not numbers, not names, not emails. They are vectors of desire, flowing through invisible channels shaped by alignment, urgency, and frictionless access. The next step is the system, the engine that turns these principles into unstoppable growth. This is where businesses stop guessing and start generating leads that chase them relentlessly, with precision so exact it feels inevitable. The system is deceptively simple in concept, yet ruthless in execution. It has 3 interlocking layers: attraction, capture, and propulsion. Each layer must be engineered with meticulous precision. Any weakness, any misalignment, and the entire machine collapses. The brilliance of this method is that once it functions, it compounds. Every lead captured strengthens the system. Every conversion fuels the magnetic pull, and growth accelerates exponentially. Attraction begins with clarity. Not vague promises, not ambiguous messaging, not generic appeals. Clarity is the pulse of the system. The lead must see exactly what transformation you offer and feel it is immediate, undeniable, and personal. Every piece of messaging, every ad, every touchpoint must reinforce this clarity, amplifying desire like a beacon in a storm. The magnetic lead does not hesitate. It recognizes alignment instantly and moves with purpose. Capture is the architecture of frictionless engagement. The lead encounters no obstacles, no indecision, no confusion. Every interaction is streamlined to guide them toward action, step by step, with almost invisible handrails. The moment a lead experiences alignment, urgency, and frictionless access simultaneously, they are compelled to act. They do not just click, they convert, they commit, they become the fuel that drives the engine forward. Propulsion is where $100 million level growth reveals itself. Magnetic leads are not static. They orbit your business, pulling others into the gravitational field you've created. Each conversion, each engagement, each satisfied client reinforces the architecture, attracting more leads with even greater force. The system does not sleep. It does not tire. It grows, compounds, and accelerates without pause. This is where most businesses fail. They understand attraction, or capture, or propulsion, but rarely all 3 in harmony. Without integration, leads drift away, opportunities vanish, and effort dissolves into noise. The genius of the $100 million system is that it aligns all 3 layers, producing a flow so precise that leads do not need to be chased. They orbit, compelled by the invisible architecture you have built. Every element can be measured, optimized, and refined. The timing of engagement, the sequencing of touchpoints, the intensity of urgency, all of it can be calibrated with near scientific precision. Every adjustment increases conversion, strengthens attraction, and accelerates propulsion. The system is not art. It is physics, psychology, and engineering fused into a single, unstoppable engine. The consequence of ignoring this system is brutal. Businesses that rely on volume, guesswork, or brute force are destined to fail. Thousands of leads, millions of impressions, endless effort, yet zero growth. Every misaligned touch, every unclear offer, every friction point is a leak in the architecture, wasting energy, eroding credibility, and diminishing future potential. The truth is unforgiving. Once you see the $100 million system, there is no excuse for chasing leads blindly. No business can scale without mastering attraction, capture, and propulsion in perfect harmony. Every lead becomes predictable. Every conversion becomes inevitable. Every campaign becomes a self-reinforcing machine of growth. But there is one final hidden layer that elevates the system from exceptional to unstoppable. It is the mechanism that ensures leads not only convert, but propagate themselves, pulling new prospects into the orbit with almost viral force. This layer is rarely discussed, almost never understood, and yet it is what separates seven-figure entrepreneurs from the 100 million elite. The next revelation will expose this invisible force and show how the architecture you've built can become a self-propelling, compounding engine of magnetic leads, generating not just revenue, but unstoppable dominance in any market.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click. Chapter 4: The Self-Propelling Engine of Magnetic Leads. You've seen attraction, capture, and propulsion. You understand how the system pulls leads with precision, converts them with inevitability, and accelerates growth through compounding action. But there is a hidden, invisible force, one so powerful that it transforms ordinary systems into self-propelling engines capable of generating leads, conversions, and revenue without constant input. This is the layer that separates the ordinary from the $100 million elite. Imagine a fire that feeds itself. Every spark ignites another. Every ember produces heat that fuels more combustion. That is what a self-propelling lead system does. Every lead converted, every client delighted, every success story shared becomes an amplifier, pulling new prospects into the orbit you've created. The system stops being linear. It becomes exponential. It becomes almost unstoppable. This layer operates on three intertwined principles: magnetism, advocacy, and compounding feedback. Magnetism ensures that the system continues to attract the right leads without additional effort. Advocacy transforms every satisfied client into a source of new leads, turning conversions into catalysts for further growth. Compounding feedback optimizes the system continuously, learning from every interaction, every success, every misalignment, refining the architecture until it hums with perfect precision. Magnetism is invisible, yet undeniable. It is the energy that emanates from clarity, irresistible offers, and consistent delivery. The lead feels it, often before they consciously understand it. They are drawn not by persuasion, not by hype, but by alignment so precise it feels inevitable. Once magnetism is established, the system begins to pull leads toward it with almost gravitational force, reducing acquisition costs while increasing quality exponentially. Advocacy is the secret multiplier. Every delighted client is no longer a single conversion. They become a vector, a beacon, a force that attracts others. Each testimonial, each referral, each shared experience amplifies the magnetic field, expanding the reach of your system without additional spend or effort. Businesses that fail to harness advocacy remain trapped in linear growth. Those that activate it experience compounding effects so rapid that competitors cannot respond. Compounding feedback is the invisible intelligence of the system. Every action, every outcome, every deviation informs the next step.
Conversion rates, engagement patterns, behavioral signals all feed into a feedback loop that continuously optimizes the architecture. Unlike traditional marketing, which relies on guesswork and trial and error, this system learns, adapts, and accelerates autonomously. Mistakes become data. Data becomes refinement. Refinement becomes unstoppable momentum. The consequences of not mastering this layer are subtle but fatal. Systems without self-propulsion rely entirely on brute force. Leads must be chased, campaigns must be manually adjusted, growth plateaus, and energy burns out. The market moves faster than effort can compensate. The business stagnates. Opportunities pass by while competitors with self-propelling systems pull in leads, conversions, and revenue at speeds that feel unfair. Understanding this layer transforms perspective entirely. Leads are no longer passive assets. They are catalysts, they are fuel, they are amplifiers. The architecture of attraction, capture, and propulsion is elevated into a living, breathing system that multiplies its own effectiveness, scales on its own momentum, and compounds indefinitely. The power of this revelation cannot be overstated. Businesses that implement self-propelling magnetic lead systems achieve growth that seems inevitable, unstoppable, and nearly impossible to replicate. They dominate markets, create ecosystems of loyalty, and transform every interaction into an opportunity for expansion. But even this is not the apex. The next principle goes beyond self-propulsion into predictive acceleration, where the system anticipates demand, creates scarcity, and manipulates timing to generate leads before the market even knows they exist. The architecture evolves from reactive to proactive, turning every interaction into a pre-programmed high-velocity conversion event that compounds like interest in a perfectly optimized financial system.
Chapter 5. Predictive Acceleration. Leading the market before it moves. By now, you've seen how attraction draws leads, how capture converts them, how propulsion accelerates growth, and how self-propulsion compounds momentum. But these layers operate in response to the market. The next level is beyond reaction. It is anticipation. Predictive acceleration is the force that lets you generate demand before the market even recognizes it, creating leads that chase you, not the other way around. Imagine a storm forming on the horizon. Most businesses scramble, reacting to winds and lightning, trying to survive. Few recognize the patterns early enough to harness its power. Predictive acceleration is that recognition magnified into action. It is the ability to see demand curves, behavioral shifts, and psychological triggers before they manifest, positioning your system to capture leads at the moment they are most ready to convert. This principle relies on three invisible engines: anticipation, orchestration, and preemption. Anticipation is the radar that identifies opportunity before others notice it. Every market shift, every trend, every subtle signal is interpreted with clarity and speed. Leads are not discovered, they are predicted. The system knows where they will be, what they will want, and how they will act, often before conscious thought enters the equation. Orchestration is the seamless timing and placement of offers. It ensures that every touchpoint, every message, every call aligns with the moment when desire peaks. Offers are not scattered randomly. They are timed with surgical precision, striking when the lead is most receptive, most compelled, most ready. This transforms ordinary marketing into an anticipatory engine, where engagement feels inevitable, irresistible, and almost preordained. Preemption is the subtle but devastating leverage of scarcity and urgency, deployed before leads even realize a choice exists. By the time the market notices your offer, the system has already harvested conversions. Leads feel the gravitational pull before they understand why. They act immediately, not out of coercion, but out of alignment with timing, clarity, and necessity. This is predictive acceleration, a system that manipulates timing so flawlessly that demand is created in advance of awareness. The brilliance of this layer is compounding. Every predictive interaction reinforces self-propulsion, strengthens magnetism, and multiplies advocacy. The system anticipates behavior, captures it at peak desire, and amplifies results into exponential growth. What once required months of effort now occurs in days. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Leads that might never have engaged are drawn into orbit, converted, and used to attract more. The cycle accelerates on itself, compounding like interest at the speed of light. The danger of ignoring predictive acceleration is subtle but catastrophic. Businesses that rely purely on reactive systems miss the moments where growth is exponential. They wait for leads to appear, for trends to become obvious, for signals to scream before acting. By the time they respond, magnetic leads are already captured by systems that anticipate, orchestrate, and preempt. Opportunity has passed, and the market rewards those who lead it, not chase it. The psychological force behind predictive acceleration cannot be overstated. Leads feel compelled, drawn, almost hypnotically to respond at the exact moment your system positions them. The experience is seamless. The conversion feels natural, yet every interaction has been pre-engineered with precision, blending timing, alignment, urgency, and clarity into a perfect orchestration. The result is not just growth, it is dominance. This revelation transforms perception entirely. Leads are no longer passive, and markets are no longer unpredictable. Every element of behavior can be anticipated, every trend leveraged, every conversion orchestrated with near-perfect precision. Businesses that master this principle achieve $100 million level growth because they are not responding. They are leading, setting the rhythm, and dictating the flow of attention, desire, and action. And even as predictive acceleration reveals the edge few can achieve, there is an apex layer waiting, one that fuses all prior principles into a system capable of viral replication, turning leads into networks, conversions into cascades, and growth into an unstoppable engine that dominates any market with precision, force, and inevitability.
Chapter 6: Viral Amplification. Turning leads into explosive networks. By this stage, your system attracts, captures, propels, self-propels, and even predicts leads before the market moves. But the true apex of $100 million level growth lies in amplification, the ability to turn every lead, every conversion into a generator of more leads, creating a network effect so powerful it multiplies your reach far beyond traditional limits. This is viral amplification, where the system no longer merely grows, it explodes. Imagine a single spark landing in dry tinder. It ignites one flame, but that flame spreads, consuming more, accelerating, branching, multiplying. Every satisfied lead, every engaged client, every converted prospect becomes that spark, sending embers across networks, communities, and social proof. One magnetic lead converts, and dozens more follow. One testimonial circulates, and a wave of interest swells beyond what any single action could produce. This is the invisible engine of viral amplification, growth fueled by the very leads you generate. Three forces drive this layer: social proof, network leverage, and psychological contagion. Social proof is the invisible authority that shapes perception. Leads see others acting, converting, engaging, and their natural response is to follow. The system does not persuade them with words, it persuades with evidence embedded in behavior. Every lead, converted or engaged, becomes a living proof of value, an unspoken endorsement that attracts others. Network leverage transforms each lead into a node in an ever-expanding web. The system does not treat leads as isolated points, but as connections with potential to propagate influence. Each node strengthens the web, and each new lead pulled into the network adds exponential potential. Growth is no longer linear, it becomes geometric, compounding with every new interaction. Psychological contagion is the hidden force that ensures propagation. Desire, urgency, and curiosity are contagious. When a lead experiences transformation, clarity, and alignment, they unconsciously share signals, subtle recommendations, social mentions, or referrals that ripple outward. The system harnesses this unconscious behavior, turning private engagement into public amplification without overt effort. The brilliance of viral amplification is in its self-reinforcing nature. Attraction, capture, propulsion, self-propulsion, and predictive acceleration all feed into amplification. Leads convert not just once, but continuously, bringing more leads into orbit who then amplify further. It is a chain reaction, a feedback loop of growth so potent that traditional acquisition methods pale in comparison. Effort is not multiplied, it is exponentially magnified. Businesses that fail at this stage remain trapped in linear models. They attract leads, convert them, and stop. The growth is incremental, fragile, and easily disrupted. The system stagnates. By contrast, businesses that implement viral amplification achieve momentum that feels unstoppable. Markets respond not to campaigns, not to spend, but to the invisible gravitational pull created by networks of magnetic leads reinforcing one another. The system now functions as a living organism. Every lead is simultaneously a target and an amplifier. Every conversion feeds the network. Every engagement strengthens future attraction. The architecture evolves from transactional to ecosystemic, a self-sustaining engine of magnetic growth that compounds indefinitely. The final power of this layer lies in predictability. Once viral amplification is active, growth is no longer chaotic. It is measurable, controllable, and engineerable. The spread of leads, the rate of engagement, the velocity of conversions, all can be mapped, optimized, and scaled at will. You are no longer at the mercy of market fluctuations or random chance. Every spark ignites predictable fire. Every lead fuels unstoppable momentum. Yet even this apex can be further elevated. Beyond viral amplification lies the ultimate principle of $100 million lead mastery, autonomous dominance, where the system generates leads, conversions, and network effects without human intervention, continuously optimizing itself to dominate markets with precision, scale, and force that borders on inevitability.
Chapter 7. Autonomous Dominance, the lead system that runs itself. Every principle up to this point, attraction, capture, propulsion, self-propulsion, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, has built toward one ultimate goal, a system so powerful, precise, and intelligent that it operates without constant human intervention. Autonomous dominance is the apex of $100 million level lead mastery, where the architecture sustains itself, optimizes itself, and scales itself while you focus on expansion, innovation, and strategy. Picture a machine so finely tuned that every action triggers the next automatically. Every lead converted feeds predictive algorithms which anticipate future behavior, which in turn triggers perfectly timed offers which propagate through networks, creating compounding influence. The system becomes self-aware in its function, not conscious, but adaptive, evolving continuously, refining processes, eliminating friction, and magnifying results with relentless efficiency. Autonomous dominance relies on three intertwined engines: adaptive intelligence, dynamic orchestration, and perpetual compounding. Adaptive intelligence ensures the system learns from every touchpoint, every conversion, every failure. Patterns that once required analysis are now integrated automatically. The system identifies optimal timing, the most compelling messaging, the precise sequence of engagements, and applies adjustments instantaneously. Human error is minimized, optimization is constant, growth accelerates without interruption. Dynamic orchestration is the invisible hand that synchronizes every layer of the system in real time. Attraction flows into capture seamlessly. Capture transitions into propulsion without friction. Propulsion triggers self-propulsion and predictive acceleration automatically. Viral amplification spreads effortlessly, feeding back into attraction. The system ensures that it operates as a single, unified engine with every component enhancing the others. There is no lag, no bottleneck, no wasted energy. Every lead moves through a frictionless pipeline designed for maximum velocity and conversion. Perpetual compounding is the force multiplier that turns autonomous dominance from efficiency into inevitability. Every lead converted feeds networks, triggers predictive pathways, and amplifies viral momentum.
Every success reinforces the magnetic pull of the system. Every engagement strengthens future conversions. The result is exponential, almost geometric growth. The business is no longer growing linearly or even exponentially. It is compounding at the speed of the system itself, generating results that feel unstoppable, inevitable, and unstoppable. And as autonomous dominance becomes operational, the next frontier emerges: multi-market replication, where the system is cloned, adapted, and deployed across new markets, niches, and verticals, multiplying growth with precision and power far beyond a single domain. The architecture is no longer just dominant, it is limitless.
Chapter 8: Multi-Market Replication, Scaling the System Beyond Boundaries. Up to this point, the system you've mastered captures leads, converts them, propels growth, self-propels, predicts behavior, amplifies virally, and dominates autonomously. Yet even the most powerful single-market system is limited by the size of that market. To achieve true 100M level expansion, the architecture must be replicated across multiple markets, creating layers of growth that multiply endlessly, compounding influence, conversions, and revenue across domains. Multi-market replication is not about copying campaigns blindly. It is about translating the invisible forces that make a system magnetic in one domain into new landscapes with precision, alignment, and predictive insight. Each market has its own currents of behavior, desires, urgency, and friction. The system must adapt, maintain integrity, and replicate its gravitational pull without losing potency. The first step is mapping demand structures in the new market. You must identify magnetic nodes, the equivalent of high-value leads in the original domain, and understand their triggers. These are not superficial demographics. They are vectors of desire, urgency, and readiness, defined by behavior, psychology, and alignment with the offer. Mapping these nodes creates the foundation on which the replicated system will function. Next is architecting the offer for local resonance. The system is powerful because the offer aligns with the lead's transformation, urgency, and scarcity. In a new market, alignment must be recalibrated. The messaging, the framing, the presentation of value must feel immediate, personal, and unavoidable. Without perfect resonance, the gravitational pull diminishes and leads scatter instead of converging. The third layer is network activation. Every replicated system leverages existing principles of viral amplification. Each lead converted becomes a node that propagates influence throughout the new market. Social proof, referrals, and psychological contagion create self-reinforcing growth. Each replication does not just grow independently. It compounds synergistically with the other systems, amplifying momentum across multiple markets simultaneously. The complexity of this layer is high, but the principle is elegant. Systems speak the language of leads, not geography or industry. The forces that convert, predict, amplify, and dominate remain consistent. The medium changes, but the laws remain the same. Understanding this allows the entrepreneur to deploy autonomous, self-propelling systems across industries, niches, and regions with precision, creating exponential, multidimensional growth. The psychological effect is profound. Leads in each new market experience the system as if it were native to them, precisely timed, perfectly aligned, and irresistible. The gravitational pull is maintained, conversions happen naturally, and advocacy spreads virally. Each replication is a new engine, compounding both locally and globally, producing growth that is not incremental, but geometric, exponential, and seemingly infinite. The consequence of failing at multi-market replication is stark. Misalignment, poor timing, or lack of understanding of local behavior reduces leads to noise. Effort is wasted, credibility is diminished, and opportunities are lost to competitors who apply magnetic, autonomous systems correctly. Every failure is amplified by the size of the market ignored or mishandled. The difference between stagnation and 100M dominance is the fidelity of replication. True mastery requires precision in adaptation. Each layer of the system, attraction, capture, propulsion, self-propulsion, Predictive acceleration, viral amplification, and autonomous dominance must be translated and calibrated for the new market. The architecture must maintain integrity while adjusting for behavior, culture, timing, and scarcity. The system must feel native, seamless, and magnetic from the first touchpoint to the final conversion. The power of multi-market replication is compounding on a massive scale. Every new domain conquered increases overall influence, attracting leads into multiple networks, amplifying advocacy, and strengthening autonomous dominance. The business no longer grows in a single market. It evolves into a multi-dimensional engine of magnetic growth capable of scaling to 100M and beyond with precision, control, and unstoppable momentum. The final frontier of this principle is to create interconnected markets where the replication of systems feed one another, generating feedback loops of demand, amplification, and predictive dominance. Growth is no longer a function of effort. It becomes a force of architecture, psychology, and compounding systems. Markets obey the system, leads orbit its gravitational pull, and growth escalates at speeds that defy traditional models. In this way, the architecture transcends ordinary lead generation. It becomes a living, evolving ecosystem capable of conquering multiple domains, multiplying conversions, and producing compounding results at almost infinite scale. The next chapter will reveal the final mechanism that cements 100M level mastery, the unbreakable formula that ensures every market, every lead, and every interaction compounds without limit, creating a legacy of unstoppable growth and dominance.
Listen,
If this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.
Chapter 9, The Unbreakable $100 Million Formula, Compounding Without Limits. By this stage, the system is magnetic, predictive, self-propelling, virally amplifying, autonomously dominant, and replicable across multiple markets. But the ultimate revelation lies in the unbreakable formula, the mechanism that ensures every lead, every market, every interaction compounds endlessly, generating growth that defies limitation, scaling to $100 million and beyond. This is the architecture of infinite compounding. The formula rests on three pillars: integration, reinforcement, and perpetuation. Integration binds every system layer into a single, cohesive engine. Attraction, capture, propulsion, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, and multi-market replication are no longer separate processes. They operate as one synchronized mechanism, each component feeding the others with perfect timing and precision. There are no weak points, no bottlenecks, no leaks. Every conversion, every engagement, every touch point contributes to the momentum of the whole system. Reinforcement ensures that each success amplifies the next. Every lead converted strengthens viral propagation. Every predictive insight improves future timing. Every market replicated generates new nodes of influence that feed back into the entire architecture. The system becomes self-reinforcing, producing growth at a rate that feels inevitable, almost deterministic. Effort is no longer linear, it is magnified exponentially with each interaction, creating compounding impact that accelerates beyond comprehension. Perpetuation is the final principle that makes the formula unbreakable. The system continuously evolves, adapts, and optimizes itself. Data from every interaction feeds predictive pathways. Feedback from every market informs adjustments. Viral networks propagate influence without direct input. The architecture sustains itself indefinitely, scaling autonomously while compounding results in every layer. It is no longer reliant on human oversight. It is a living engine of growth, self-optimizing, self-reinforcing, unstoppable. The true psychological effect on leads and markets is extraordinary. Engagement feels inevitable, conversions feel natural. Desire is anticipated, urgency is orchestrated, and advocacy spreads organically. Every touch point is precise, aligned, and timed to perfection. Leads are not just captured, they're orchestrated into a network that fuels perpetual expansion, accelerating influence and revenue in ways that defy conventional strategy. Businesses that fail to implement the unbreakable formula remain constrained by effort, oversight, and linear growth. Leads must be manually pursued, campaigns monitored constantly, markets entered cautiously. The ceiling is low, and every misstep is amplified by inefficiency. By contrast, a business operating on this formula experiences growth that is inevitable, unstoppable, and compounding, producing results at scale far beyond expectation or effort. The true genius of this layer is in its universality. The formula applies across industries, markets, niches, and geographies. Every system principle, magnetism, advocacy, predictive timing, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, and multi-market replication can be integrated seamlessly in any environment. The architecture is not tied to one product, one market, or one moment. It is timeless, adaptable, and infinitely scalable. This level of mastery produces dominance that feels unnatural. Competitors are left reacting to a force they cannot perceive. Markets bend toward the system, leads orbit its gravitational pull, and every replication compounds influence exponentially. Growth is no longer a function of investment, luck, or effort. It is a natural outcome of architectural precision, predictive insight, and compounding design. And yet, as this formula reveals near-limitless compounding, there is one final frontier: the ultimate integration of human psychology, market mechanics, and system engineering that transforms $100 million lead systems from unstoppable growth engines into legacies of influence and domination, creating structures that thrive indefinitely long after effort has ceased. Chapter 10: Human and Market Alignment, the Pinnacle of Infinite Dominance. Everything up to this point has built a system that is magnetic, predictive, self-propelling, virally amplifying, autonomously dominant, replicable across markets, and operating on the unbreakable $100 million formula. Yet even this is incomplete without the ultimate principle: aligning human psychology with market mechanics to generate influence and growth that is infinite, unstoppable, and self-perpetuating. This is the apex of lead mastery, where systems do not just function, they dominate by anticipating, resonating, and amplifying every human desire with precision. The first layer is empathic resonance. Every lead, every market, every interaction must reflect a profound understanding of human motivation. Desire, urgency, fear, aspiration, all must be anticipated and mirrored in the system. Leads feel this alignment instinctively. Engagement is no longer about selling or persuasion, it is about synchronization. The system speaks in the language of needs, wants, and subconscious triggers, positioning your offer as the inevitable solution before the lead even fully formulates the question. The second layer is market synchronicity. While empathic resonance aligns with individual behavior, market synchronicity ensures the system harmonizes with broader trends, shifts, and cycles. Timing is orchestrated not just with predictive algorithms, but with insight into market flow. Scarcity, opportunity, momentum, and perception are engineered to perfection. Leads feel urgency naturally, networks amplify influence organically, and demand is captured before it becomes visible. The system does not chase, it dictates the rhythm of the market. The third layer is recursive amplification, the fusion of human alignment and market mechanics into a self-reinforcing, compounding force. Every engagement triggers further engagement. Every conversion propagates influence. Every market replicated feeds the next. Leads are no longer passive entities. They are nodes in a living network of compounding momentum, cascading influence, and perpetual expansion. Growth accelerates continuously, compounding both horizontally across markets and vertically within networks. The psychological impact of this principle is extraordinary. Leads experience the system as natural, inevitable, and compelling. Desire is anticipated, timing is perfect, and alignment feels personal. Engagement is effortless for the system, yet irresistible for the audience. Each touchpoint reinforces authority, trust, and urgency, creating conversions that seem predetermined. Advocacy becomes automatic. Networks expand exponentially. The system not only grows, it dominates. Businesses that fail to integrate human and market alignment remain limited by human error, delayed reactions, and fragmented campaigns. Leads are converted inconsistently. Momentum is weak, growth plateaus. Markets respond only sporadically. The difference between ordinary scaling and $100 million level dominance is this precision of alignment, the ability to synchronize every layer of the system with the invisible currents of human desire and market behavior. The power of this principle is compounding. Empathic resonance strengthens every conversion. Market synchronicity amplifies predictive acceleration. Recursive amplification fuels viral networks and autonomous systems. Every layer reinforces the others, creating a self-perpetuating engine of influence that grows faster than competition can react, spreads further than traditional marketing can reach, and converts with precision that borders on inevitability. At this stage, the system is not just powerful, it is immortalized. It creates ecosystems of leads, networks, and markets that thrive independently, generate compounding influence, and scale without intervention. $100 million growth is no longer a goal, it is a natural consequence of architecture, alignment, and compounding mechanics. The business becomes a living, evolving organism, generating influence, conversions, and expansion long after initial effort has ceased. The culmination of this chapter and of the system is total dominance. Leads orbit with inevitability, markets bend toward influence, and growth compounds without limit. The architecture integrates human desire, market mechanics, predictive insight, viral amplification, and autonomous operations into a singular engine of infinite compounding. Every conversion fuels another. Every interaction propagates momentum. Every market adds layers of leverage. The system is unstoppable, unbreakable, and infinite. And as this ultimate alignment crystallizes, the next frontier emerges, not in effort, not in strategy, but in legacy creation, where the system becomes a permanent, self-sustaining force of market domination, influence, and compounding growth that transcends time, competition, and even human limitation. This is the final echelon of $100 million level mastery, the culmination of every principle applied with precision, scale, and force. Chapter 11. Legacy Creation, Building a Self-Sustaining Empire of Influence. At this stage, your system operates with magnetic precision, predictive mastery, autonomous dominance, viral amplification, multi-market replication, and perfect human market alignment. Yet even this level of mastery is temporal if the architecture does not transcend its creator. Legacy creation is the ultimate principle, transforming 100M-level lead systems into self-sustaining empires that persist, scale, and dominate indefinitely. It is the stage where influence, momentum, and compounding growth become permanent, structural forces, independent of constant oversight or effort. Legacy begins with structural immortality. The system is no longer built merely to convert leads or generate revenue. It is designed as a living ecosystem. Every market replication, every viral node, every predictive pathway is engineered to sustain itself indefinitely. Knowledge, automation, and architecture converge to produce a self-propagating engine of growth. Leads perpetuate influence, networks reinforce conversions, and each market contributes to a constantly evolving momentum. The system survives disruption, outpaces competitors, and continues expanding even when the original creator steps away. The second layer is systemic reinforcement. Each component, attraction, capture, propulsion, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, human alignment, and multi-market replication, reinforces every other component in a continuous feedback loop. Conversion feeds amplification. Amplification strengthens predictive timing. Predictive timing enhances human resonance, and replication multiplies every effect. The system compounds exponentially, creating a self-reinforcing ecosystem where growth, influence, and network effects accelerate naturally without friction or oversight. Third, autonomous evolution ensures the system adapts to changing markets, behaviors, and trends. Leads are no longer static. Their responses are constantly analyzed, patterns detected, and adjustments applied automatically. Markets shift, consumer psychology evolves, and competition reacts, but the architecture adapts instantly, maintaining dominance and compounding influence without human intervention. The system grows smarter, faster, and more efficient with every interaction, creating a form of organizational intelligence that rivals human insight. The psychological impact of a legacy system is profound. Leads experience the architecture as inevitable, natural, and perfectly aligned. Every interaction feels personal, timely, and irresistible. Conversions are automatic, advocacy spreads without prompting, and networks amplify influence geometrically. Markets no longer respond to marketing. They respond to the invisible gravitational pull of an ecosystem engineered for dominance. The creator's influence persists, magnified across time, markets, and networks, leaving an enduring imprint. Failure to establish legacy creation means growth remains fragile, temporal, and dependent on human effort. Systems plateau, networks stagnate, and markets shift faster than reaction. Leads scatter, opportunities evaporate, momentum collapses. The difference between fleeting success and 100M level permanence is the ability to design a system that operates, evolves, and scales without constant intervention, building influence that compounds indefinitely. Legacy creation is not just operational, it is philosophical and strategic. Every touchpoint, network, and market is treated as a living asset. Influence is engineered into architecture. Momentum is codified into processes. Growth is structured to compound infinitely. This approach transforms conventional lead generation into permanent market dominance, where every engagement, conversion, and replication continues to multiply exponentially, independent of time, effort, or human oversight. The final mastery of this principle lies in interconnection. Markets, networks, and leads feed one another. Each node contributes to every other node. Every market replication amplifies influence across the ecosystem. Compounding growth is no longer a linear or even exponential function. It becomes geometric across multiple dimensions, creating a system that accelerates in power, reach, and influence with every cycle. By achieving legacy creation, the system reaches a state of infinite operational compounding. Every lead, interaction, and market feed perpetual momentum. Every conversion reinforces autonomous growth. Every replication strengthens network effects. The architecture achieves not just 100M level scale, but a self-sustaining, ever-expanding empire of influence, capable of dominating markets indefinitely. The next stage, building upon legacy creation, is market immortality, where influence, systems, and compounding growth transcend the constraints of competition, time, and opportunity. It is the ultimate realization of 100M level mastery, creating an unstoppable force of lead generation, network effect, and autonomous dominance that persists indefinitely across all markets and human behavior.
Chapter 12. Market Immortality. Compounding Beyond Limits. Up to this point, your system has become magnetic, predictive, self-propelling, virally amplifying, autonomously dominant, multi-market replicable, unbreakable, aligned with human psychology and market behavior, and structured as a self-sustaining legacy. Yet even legacy is temporary if the system is tied to cycles, trends, or competition. Market immortality is the final frontier, transforming influence, lead generation, and growth into a force that compounds beyond limits, surviving disruption, outpacing competitors, and expanding indefinitely. Market immortality begins with temporal independence. Traditional systems are constrained by timing, seasonality, and human intervention. Immortal systems operate outside these constraints. Leads, networks, and conversions function autonomously, adapting to shifts instantly. Data is constantly integrated, patterns analyzed, and adjustments implemented automatically. Every engagement becomes predictive, every replication anticipates behavior, and every viral loop compounds influence. The system no longer reacts to the market, it shapes it, bending momentum to its own gravitational pull. The second layer is cross-market synergy. Immortality is not achieved within a single market. It emerges from the interplay of multiple domains, each reinforcing the other. Replicated systems feed each other, propagating influence and conversion across networks. A success in one market triggers compounding momentum in others. Leads, once captured, propagate through interconnected systems, creating exponential amplification that spreads beyond the initial scope. The architecture becomes a web of influence, growing in multiple dimensions simultaneously, producing outcomes far greater than the sum of its parts. Third, autonomous adaptation ensures survival through disruption. Markets fluctuate, behavior evolves, competitors innovate, and global conditions shift. Immortal systems adjust instantaneously. Predictive pathways optimize offers, timing, and messaging automatically. Network amplification continues without intervention. The system identifies emerging opportunities before they are visible, converting them into sustained momentum. Growth becomes unbreakable because the architecture learns, evolves, and strengthens continuously. The psychological impact on leads and markets is profound. Engagement feels natural yet irresistible. Desire, urgency, and alignment are anticipated perfectly. Networks amplify influence organically. Leads respond not because they are persuaded, but because the system resonates at a level beyond conscious choice. Conversions happen automatically. Advocacy spreads exponentially. Influence becomes gravitational, drawing opportunities, leads, and markets toward the system with unstoppable force. Businesses that fail to achieve market immortality remain bounded by effort, trends, and human limitation. Momentum collapses when oversight falters. Markets shift faster than adaptation. Leads disengage. Competitors seize advantage. The difference between fleeting 100 million growth and immortal dominance is the system's ability to operate independently, autonomously, and compounding across all dimensions indefinitely. Immortal systems leverage recursive compounding across time, networks, and markets. Every lead feeds another. Every conversion strengthens predictive mechanisms. Every replicated market amplifies influence across networks. The architecture is fractal. Growth at one level multiplies influence at all others. Compounding is no longer linear, exponential, or geometric. It is multidimensional, unstoppable, and infinite. The final stage is integration of human psychology, market mechanics, and systemic engineering at scale. Every interaction, every node, every replication functions as part of a singular ecosystem designed to perpetuate influence and dominance indefinitely. Market trends, human desires, and competitive forces are no longer obstacles. They become inputs the system converts into momentum. Growth is self-propagating. Influence is self-reinforcing. Expansion is inevitable. Market immortality transforms a 100 million lead system from powerful architecture into a living, evolving, unstoppable force. It compounds influence, conversions, and networks across time, space, and domains without limitation. The system persists beyond the creator, beyond trends, beyond competition,
leaving an enduring, ever-expanding impact. At this pinnacle, growth is no longer measured in revenue, leads, or campaigns. It is measured in architectural dominance, perpetual momentum, and influence that multiplies across every market, every node, and every interaction. The system becomes immortal because it has transcended effort, timing, and limitation, converting every action, behavior, and opportunity into eternal compounding momentum. The next chapter will reveal the ultimate synthesis, where every principle, layer, and system converges into a singular, unstoppable engine of $100 million level influence, compounding, and market domination, delivering the final revelation of total mastery.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.
Chapter 13, The Ultimate Synthesis, Convergence into Unstoppable $100 Million Domination. Everything up to this moment, the attraction, capture, propulsion, self-propulsion, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, multi-market replication, unbreakable formula, human and market alignment, legacy creation, and market immortality, has been building toward a single apex, the ultimate synthesis. This is where every principle converges into one integrated, unstoppable engine of 100M level growth, compounding influence, and irreversible market dominance. At the core of this synthesis is absolute system cohesion. Each component of the architecture is no longer separate or modular. It is fused into a living organism. Attraction feeds capture. Capture triggers propulsion. Propulsion ignites predictive acceleration. Predictive acceleration amplifies virality. Virality reinforces autonomous dominance. Autonomous dominance drives replication. Replication strengthens legacy, and legacy compounds into immortality. Each layer is interdependent, reinforcing every other, creating a singular mechanism that grows, adapts, and dominates without pause or interruption. The second dimension is multi-layer compounding. Every interaction, conversion, and replication generates multiple ripple effects across networks, markets, and human behavior simultaneously. Leads are not simply converted. They are activated as nodes of influence, propagating advocacy, referral, and viral amplification. Market feedback reinforces predictive pathways. Autonomous systems adjust instantaneously. Momentum accelerates geometrically across every axis of the business. Growth is no longer linear, exponential, or even geometric. It is hyperdimensional, compounding at infinite scale. The third layer is anticipatory alignment. The ultimate system not only reacts perfectly, it predicts and shapes human behavior, market shifts, and competitive movements before they occur. Offers, timing, and messaging align with desire, urgency, and attention automatically. Networks propagate influence organically. Every lead experiences the system as inevitable. Every interaction feels personalized yet universal. Conversions occur naturally. Advocacy spreads without prompting, and momentum becomes irreversible. The system dictates the rhythm of markets rather than responding to them. At the fourth dimension, autonomous evolution integrates every principle simultaneously. Adaptive intelligence continuously analyzes engagement, market cycles, human psychology, and viral patterns, applying refinements instantly across all components. Every replication adjusts dynamically. Every network amplifies recursively. Every predictive model updates itself without oversight. Human intervention is no longer necessary. Growth is self-propagating. Influence is self-reinforcing, and the system compounds endlessly. The psychological and operational impact is extraordinary. Leads feel aligned, compelled, and resonant. Markets bend to the architecture. Networks expand automatically. Every engagement produces cascading influence that magnifies at multiple levels. Conversions are inevitable. Momentum becomes unstoppable. Influence transcends competition. Growth compounds beyond traditional measures. The system achieves dominance not through effort, but through precision, alignment, and perpetual compounding.
Businesses that fail to integrate this ultimate synthesis remain fragmented, slow, and limited by human error, market fluctuations, and operational inefficiencies. Leads slip through cracks, networks fail to propagate, replication falters, momentum collapses. The difference between ordinary growth and 100M level domination is the integration of every system layer into a singular, infinitely compounding engine. The ultimate synthesis is also scale agnostic. It functions identically in small niches, massive industries, or multi-market ecosystems. Every principle adapts, every system aligns, and every network compounds influence regardless of scope. The architecture is timeless, universal, and infinitely scalable. Every lead, every market, every interaction contributes to the unstoppable engine of growth. The final stage is transcendent compounding, where influence, conversions, networks, and momentum compound across time, markets, and human behavior at a speed and scale beyond conventional comprehension. Growth is permanent, impact is irreversible, and market dominance is absolute. The business no longer competes, it creates and sustains ecosystems that function autonomously, propagate endlessly, and dominate continuously. This ultimate synthesis transforms a 100M lead system into a living, evolving, self-perpetuating empire of influence. It converts every action into exponential momentum, every interaction into systemic amplification, and every replication into a network that compounds indefinitely. Influence becomes gravitational, markets bend instinctively, and growth becomes inevitable, unstoppable, and infinite. The journey does not end here. The next chapter will reveal how to operationalize this ultimate synthesis into perpetual 100M level growth across new frontiers, completing the transformation from extraordinary system to immortal market dominance.
Chapter 14, Perpetual $100 Million Growth, Operationalizing Infinite Influence. After mastering the ultimate synthesis, the system is now a living, hyper-compounding engine of influence, conversions, and multi-market dominance. But mastery alone does not guarantee perpetual $100 million growth. To operationalize infinite influence, the architecture must convert theoretical dominance into consistent, measurable, unstoppable expansion across every market, network, and human interaction. The first layer is dynamic operational orchestration. Every system component, attraction, capture, propulsion, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, multi-market replication, legacy creation, and market immortality most function in precise synchronization. No action is isolated. Each lead, each network, each conversion feeds the next, producing a chain reaction that compounds in real time. The business no longer reacts, it flows, adapts, and dominates continuously. Every interaction becomes a force multiplier, every campaign an engine of exponential momentum. The second layer is predictive scalability. Infinite growth is not achieved by scaling effort, it is achieved by scaling intelligence. The system anticipates market trends, human behavior, and competitive moves before they manifest. Data from every lead, interaction, and replication is processed instantly to optimize targeting, timing, messaging, and network propagation. Each adjustment compounds existing momentum, producing growth that is not linear or exponential, but hyperdimensional, accelerating across every axis of influence simultaneously. Third, autonomous reinforcement ensures the system sustains itself indefinitely. Leads become advocates, networks amplify influence without oversight. Replicated markets feed each other, creating recursive compounding loops that generate momentum independently. Each interaction triggers further engagement, each conversion fuels predictive intelligence, and every viral amplification strengthens autonomous dominance. Growth is no longer effort-dependent, it is structurally inevitable. Fourth, multi-dimensional integration expands operational influence beyond conventional markets. Every replication is not isolated. Each node, market, and network interacts dynamically with every other, producing a cascading effect that multiplies results across time, geography, and human behavior. Influence becomes gravitational. Demand aligns naturally, and conversions occur at scale without friction or loss of potency. Momentum compounds in multiple directions simultaneously, generating growth that is simultaneously local, global, and perpetual. The psychological impact is unparalleled. Leads experience the system as inevitable. Desire, urgency, and alignment are preemptively matched with timing, messaging, and delivery. Networks propagate advocacy organically. Engagements generate self-reinforcing momentum. Markets respond instantly to the gravitational pull of the architecture. Conversions are automatic. Viral amplification is constant, and influence spreads without friction. The system dominates not because it is visible. It dominates because it is inescapable. Businesses that fail at operationalizing perpetual $100 million growth remain constrained by manual processes, human error, and market fluctuations. Momentum collapses when oversight falters. Networks fail to propagate. Leads disengage. Opportunities evaporate. The difference between temporal success and infinite self-perpetuating dominance is the ability to engineer, synchronize, and automate compounding influence at every layer. The final stage of operationalization is systemic compounding across infinite frontiers. Every lead, interaction, and market becomes a node in a self-sustaining network of growth. Each replication feeds others. Every predictive adjustment strengthens the system. Viral amplification perpetuates itself. Momentum becomes irreversible. Influence compounds infinitely, producing outcomes beyond traditional scaling, beyond effort, and beyond human oversight. At this level, the business becomes a living ecosystem of perpetual $100 million level expansion, where influence, conversions, and momentum are not managed, they are naturally orchestrated. Every layer of the system feeds the next. Every interaction triggers cascading effects. Every market replication multiplies results geometrically. Growth is no longer a goal. It is the inevitable consequence of architectural mastery, predictive insight, and perpetual operational orchestration. The next chapter will reveal the ultimate frontier of $100 million lead mastery, influence compounding across time and networks at infinite scale, where the system achieves absolute, unstoppable, and irreversible domination.
Chapter 15. Infinite Network Domination. Compounding Influence Across Time and Scale. The system has already evolved into a living, hyper-compounding engine. It attracts, captures, propels, predicts, amplifies virally, dominates autonomously, replicates across markets, builds legacy, achieves immortality, synthesizes every principle, and operationalizes perpetual $100 million growth. Yet the pinnacle is still ahead: infinite network domination, where influence, conversions, and momentum extend beyond immediate markets, beyond human oversight, and across time itself. Infinite network domination begins with multi-layer interconnection. Every lead, every conversion, every market, every network is linked dynamically, forming a living lattice of influence. Each node interacts with every other node, not linearly, not exponentially, but fractally. Every engagement triggers multiple cascading effects simultaneously. Leads become nodes that amplify influence across networks. Market shifts propagate through the system instantly. Feedback loops strengthen predictive accuracy, reinforcing autonomous growth. The architecture evolves into a hyperdimensional web where compounding occurs on infinite planes. The second layer is temporal compounding. Influence is no longer bound to immediate outcomes. Every lead captured, every interaction executed, every network propagated contributes to future conversions across days, months, and years. Data is collected, analyzed, and applied continuously. Predictive pathways anticipate behavior long before leads engage. Systems self-optimize over time. Momentum compounds recursively, creating growth trajectories that accelerate as the system evolves. Each action compounds not just spatially, but temporally, producing results that expand infinitely into the future. Third, predictive resonance ensures alignment with human behavior and market cycles at every scale. The system anticipates needs, desires, urgency, and attention, offers timing,
messaging, and amplification are orchestrated automatically, perfectly aligned with subconscious triggers. Leads feel compelled, networks propagate organically, and engagement multiplies without friction. Markets respond preemptively, creating a self-reinforcing ecosystem of influence. Conversions, advocacy, and viral propagation occur naturally, producing momentum that is impossible to disrupt. Fourth, adaptive replication allows the system to expand into new domains with immediate dominance. Every principle, magnetism, capture, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, legacy creation, market immortality, operational orchestration replicates across industries, geographies, and human networks. The architecture adapts to every context, scaling influence seamlessly. Growth is self-propagating, compounding geometrically as each new replication contributes to the broader ecosystem. Momentum accelerates across multiple dimensions simultaneously, creating unstoppable expansion. The psychological and operational impact is staggering. Leads experience engagement as inevitable. Networks amplify influence naturally. Conversions multiply organically. Markets bend to the gravitational pull of the architecture. Influence extends beyond conscious effort, beyond traditional scaling, beyond limitation. Every interaction compounds momentum. Every replication multiplies reach. Every network strengthens the entire system. The result is a living, evolving, self-sustaining empire of infinite influence. Businesses that fail to achieve infinite network domination remain bounded by effort, linear growth, and human limitation. Leads stagnate, networks fail to propagate, markets fluctuate unpredictably, and momentum collapses. The difference between temporary success and infinite, self-perpetuating $100 million influence lies in the architecture's ability to link every node, anticipate every behavior, replicate infinitely, and compound across time and scale without friction. The final layer is multidimensional legacy. Influence, growth, and network effects extend indefinitely, creating perpetual compounding ecosystems. Every replication strengthens others. Every predictive alignment enhances influence. Every network amplifies momentum. Growth becomes an emergent property of architecture, intelligence, and interconnection, producing outcomes that transcend effort, oversight, and time itself. The system achieves dominance not through visibility, persuasion, or competition. It dominates because it cannot be escaped, outpaced, or disrupted. At this pinnacle, the business is no longer just a market leader. It is a living, evolving organism that compounds influence, conversions, and networks infinitely across all dimensions. Every engagement, every interaction, every replication contributes to perpetual $100 million level momentum. The system is unstoppable, irreversible, and infinite. The next chapter will reveal the ultimate operational mastery, where every principle converges into complete control over influence, growth, and compounding momentum, delivering total $100 million level market and network domination.
Chapter 16. Total Operational Mastery, commanding infinite $100 million momentum. The system now spans every market, every network, and every temporal horizon. It attracts, captures, propels, predicts, amplifies, dominates autonomously, replicates across industries, sustains legacy, achieves immortality, synthesizes principles, operationalizes perpetual growth, and dominates networks infinitely. Yet the pinnacle of mastery is total operational control, the convergence of every principle into a singular, hyper-compounding engine where influence, conversions, and momentum are not only unstoppable, they are entirely commanded. Total operational mastery begins with complete orchestration. Every component, magnetism, capture, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, replication, legacy, immortality, synthesis, operationalization, and infinite network compounding functions in precise synchrony. No action is isolated. Every movement triggers cascading effects across all dimensions. Leads propagate influence automatically. Markets bend to timing and demand. Networks amplify conversions recursively. Every cycle feeds the next, creating a self-propelling, self-reinforcing, unstoppable system. The second layer is hyper-intelligent adaptation. Unlike static systems that require manual input, this architecture learns continuously. Every engagement, every interaction, every replication feeds a predictive engine that anticipates behavior, optimizes alignment, and adjusts autonomously. Offers, timing, messaging, and propagation are refined in real time. Momentum compounds exponentially as the system becomes smarter with every cycle. The architecture no longer reacts. It preempts, predicts, and controls with precision that borders on inevitability. Third, infinite replication ensures growth is boundless. Every principle applies across multiple industries, geographies, and networks simultaneously. Leads captured in one market amplify influence in another. Networks propagate advocacy in unexpected directions. Replications interact, creating emergent momentum that compounds multidimensionally. The system expands faster than competition can respond, grows beyond manual oversight, and dominates without friction. Every replication strengthens the ecosystem, producing hyperdimensional compounding that cannot be interrupted or reversed. Fourth, predictive resonance at scale aligns human psychology and market mechanics across every interaction. Desire, urgency, attention, and decision-making are anticipated perfectly. Leads respond instinctively. Networks propagate without friction. Conversions multiply automatically. Influence becomes gravitational, bending human behavior and market response toward the architecture's trajectory. Momentum becomes irreversible, autonomous, and infinite. The psychological impact is staggering. Leads feel alignment, urgency, and inevitability. Networks propagate advocacy naturally. Markets bend effortlessly to the architecture. Conversions are automatic. Viral amplification continues indefinitely. Momentum is unstoppable. Influence is absolute. The system dominates because it is precise, intelligent, and infinitely self-reinforcing, not because it is visible or pushed. Businesses that fail at total operational mastery remain vulnerable to human error, market shifts, and finite scaling. Momentum collapses when oversight falters, networks weaken, opportunities vanish. The difference between temporary success and infinite $100 million level domination is the ability to command every principle, layer, and replication simultaneously, producing compounding influence that cannot be interrupted or reversed. At this level, growth is no longer measured by leads, conversions, or revenue. It is measured by control over the system, networks, and markets themselves. The architecture dictates timing, shapes demand, anticipates behavior, and multiplies influence across every horizon. Every interaction, every replication, every cycle compounds momentum, producing outcomes that are permanent, self-reinforcing, and infinite. The next chapter will reveal the final culmination of $100 million lead mastery, where the system reaches true omnipotence, complete, irreversible, and eternal market dominance, influence compounding across every dimension, leaving no limit to scale, momentum, or reach.
Chapter 17. Absolute Market Omnipotence. Unstoppable $100 million level influence across every dimension. At this stage, the system has achieved total operational mastery. Every component, magnetism, capture, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, multi-market replication, legacy, immortality, ultimate synthesis, perpetual growth, and infinite network compounding functions in perfect synchrony. Yet the pinnacle of $100 million level achievement is absolute market omnipotence, a state where influence, momentum, and conversions dominate every market, network, and behavioral dimension simultaneously, leaving no competitor, trend, or limitation capable of interruption. Absolute market omnipotence begins with total systemic integration. Every node, lead, interaction, and market feeds into a hyper-connected lattice of influence. Each replication reinforces others.
Every engagement triggers cascading effects that compound across time, networks, and markets. Momentum is multidimensional. Growth becomes self-propelling and self-reinforcing. Every human response, every market fluctuation, every viral amplification contributes to a continuously expanding ecosystem of unstoppable power. The second layer is predictive omniscience. The system anticipates behavior before it manifests. Leads respond instinctively. Networks propagate advocacy without friction. Conversions are automatic. Market shifts are preempted. Every predictive algorithm, every adaptive feedback loop, every replication functions seamlessly to optimize influence, timing, and alignment. The architecture does not react, it dictates, shaping outcomes and orchestrating momentum across every possible vector. Third, multi-horizon dominance ensures influence extends across every timeframe and scale. Immediate actions compound into long-term momentum. Daily engagement strengthens monthly propagation. Monthly influence fuels yearly expansion. Temporal compounding integrates seamlessly with multi-market replication, creating an infinitely expanding lattice of growth. Influence, conversions, and networks multiply across every horizon simultaneously. The system is no longer measured in short-term metrics. It operates on perpetual, self-propagating dominance across time and space. Fifth, hyperdimensional replication transforms influence into unstoppable scale. Every node, market, and network replicates autonomously. Each replication reinforces others, producing geometric compounding across multiple layers simultaneously. Every human interaction, behavioral insight, and network effect accelerates the architecture, generating expansion that surpasses conventional limits. Markets no longer respond, they align. Momentum is inevitable, unstoppable, and infinite. The psychological effect is profound. Leads feel alignment as inevitability. Networks amplify influence organically. Conversions happen automatically. Markets bend preemptively. Engagement becomes self-reinforcing. Every replication produces further compounding. Influence spreads across dimensions beyond comprehension. The system achieves dominance not by visibility, persuasion, or effort, but because it is structurally irresistible, self-propagating, and omnipotent. Businesses that fail to reach absolute market omnipotence remain bound by effort, error, and limitation. Leads stagnate, networks fail, market fluctuations disrupt growth, momentum collapses. The difference between ordinary $100 million level success and omnipotent, infinite market dominance lies in complete control, recursive compounding, predictive intelligence, and multidimensional replication executed flawlessly at every layer. At this stage, influence, conversions, and networks are no longer tools, they are forces of nature. Every interaction contributes to perpetual, unstoppable growth. Every replication strengthens the entire system. Momentum compounds across time, networks, and markets simultaneously. Human behavior, market shifts, and competitive activity are anticipated, absorbed, and transformed into growth. The system becomes immortal, irreversible, and omnipotent. The next chapter will reveal the ultimate evolutionary frontier where this omnipotent system transcends even market dominance, transforming into a self-perpetuating force of $100 million level influence capable of scaling across industries, generations, and global networks, producing compounding results beyond human comprehension.
Chapter 18, The Evolutionary Frontier. Scaling $100 million influence across generations and global networks. The system has now reached absolute market omnipotence. Every principle, attraction, capture, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance,
multi-market replication, legacy immortality, ultimate synthesis, perpetual growth, infinite network compounding, and total operational mastery functions flawlessly across all dimensions. Yet the evolutionary frontier lies ahead, the transformation from market domination into a self-perpetuating, cross-generational global force of influence, where $100 million level impact compounds across industries, networks, and human behavior indefinitely. At this frontier, influence operates beyond time, beyond geography, and beyond conventional limits. Every lead, conversion, interaction, and network contributes not only to immediate growth, but to perpetual compounding across years, markets, and generations. The system anticipates behavioral shifts decades in advance, aligning engagement, messaging, and replication perfectly with emerging human needs and desires. Every replication accelerates other replications, producing a momentum that grows faster than any competitor can respond, faster than any trend can evolve, and faster than conventional systems can replicate. The second layer is generational compounding. Influence is no longer measured by immediate conversions or viral amplification. It spans lifetimes. Leads become advocates who propagate influence across networks and communities, passing engagement forward. Networks self-reinforce as human behavior evolves, producing a chain reaction of compounding influence that multiplies over decades. Predictive pathways anticipate generational patterns, ensuring the system remains aligned with evolving desires, market shifts, and emerging opportunities. Growth becomes permanent, self-propagating, and unstoppable across time. Third, global network integration transforms the system from a market leader into a force capable of shaping entire industries and geographies. Every replication, engagement, and conversion is linked to a web of influence that spans continents, cultures, and languages. Momentum becomes multidimensional, compounding not only within networks, but across markets, time zones, and societal trends. Every interaction triggers cascading effects that accelerate influence globally. The system evolves into an infinitely expanding ecosystem where $100 million level growth propagates autonomously across borders and industries simultaneously. Fourth, hyper-adaptive intelligence ensures survival through disruption, competition, and market evolution. Every lead, conversion, and network interaction feeds predictive intelligence that continuously optimizes engagement, propagation, and alignment across all dimensions. Markets, competitors, and behavioral shifts are preempted before they manifest. The architecture evolves autonomously, learning faster than any competitor, adjusting instantly to changes, and converting disruption into compounding momentum. The system no longer adapts reactively, it evolves proactively, perpetually, and exponentially. Fifth, multidimensional replication at infinite scale ensures the system cannot be outpaced. Every market replication, network propagation, and generational compounding reinforces the entire architecture. Momentum accelerates geometrically across multiple planes simultaneously. Influence spreads faster than traditional scaling allows, expanding into new markets, industries, and human networks without friction. Every replication strengthens predictive accuracy, viral propagation, and autonomous growth, producing outcomes beyond conventional comprehension. The psychological and operational impact is staggering. Leads experience engagement as inevitable. Networks propagate advocacy organically. Markets align preemptively. Conversions multiply automatically. Growth is no longer dependent on effort, visibility, or persuasion. It occurs because the system is structurally unstoppable, hyper-adaptive, and self-reinforcing. Human behavior, market dynamics, and generational patterns bend naturally to the architecture. Momentum compounds infinitely across all dimensions. Businesses that fail to operate at this evolutionary frontier remain constrained by human oversight, linear growth, and temporal limitation. Leads stagnate, networks weaken, opportunities evaporate. Momentum collapses when disruption strikes. The difference between $100 million level success and self-perpetuating, cross-generational global influence lies in the architecture's ability to operate autonomously, evolve continuously, and compound infinitely across networks, time, and markets. At this pinnacle, influence, conversions, and networks transcend conventional measurement. Every action triggers cascading compounding. Every replication reinforces others. Every network interaction multiplies momentum across generations. Growth, dominance, and influence become permanent, unstoppable forces. The system evolves beyond markets, beyond competitors, and beyond time, producing eternal $100 million level impact and influence. The next chapter will reveal the final, ultimate transformation, where this evolutionary system crystallizes into a singular, unstoppable, omnipresent engine of influence, momentum, and $100 million domination, achieving the ultimate frontier of mastery. Chapter 19. The Pinnacle of Influence. Omnipresent $100 million domination across every layer. The system has traversed every stage of mastery: attraction, capture, propulsion, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, multi-market replication, legacy creation, immortality, ultimate synthesis, perpetual growth, infinite network compounding, total operational mastery, absolute market omnipotence, and cross-generational global evolution. Yet the pinnacle, the apex of $100 million influence, emerges when every principle, every replication, every network, and every temporal horizon converge into one omnipresent, unstoppable force. At this level, influence becomes a law of inevitability. Every lead, interaction, conversion, and network amplification is embedded in a lattice of compounding momentum that spans markets, industries, and generations simultaneously. The architecture no longer merely reacts, adapts, or predicts. It preempts, orchestrates, and dominates with perfect precision. Human behavior aligns instinctively. Market forces bend predictively. Every replication accelerates others across multiple dimensions, producing momentum that grows faster than any competitor can measure, track, or influence. The first layer is hyperdimensional integration. Every principle operates simultaneously across all scales, producing emergent effects that multiply in real time. Attraction fuels capture. Capture triggers acceleration. Acceleration amplifies virality. Virality reinforces autonomous dominance. Autonomous dominance powers replication. Replication enhances legacy. Legacy strengthens immortality. Immortality feeds synthesis. Synthesis drives operational perfection. Operations compound infinitely across networks, markets, and human behavior. Momentum is continuous, self-propagating, and multidimensional. Every interaction reinforces the entire system, creating an unstoppable engine of $100 million level influence. Second, perpetual adaptive intelligence ensures dominance is unchallenged. Every lead, conversion, network, and interaction feeds predictive algorithms that optimize timing, messaging, and propagation instantaneously. Markets, competitors, and behaviors are anticipated before they manifest. Disruption is absorbed and transformed into compounding momentum. Every adjustment strengthens every other component, producing recursive growth that escalates geometrically, simultaneously across all networks. Influence becomes omnipresent because the system is hyper-intelligent, self-evolving, and infinitely scalable. Third, perpetual temporal compounding extends dominance beyond the present. Every engagement, replication, and propagation contributes to future conversions, future networks, and future influence. Predictive pathways extend decades ahead, aligning human behavior, market trends, and network expansion before outcomes are even realized. Growth compounds recursively across time, producing results that accelerate exponentially as the system evolves. Every lead captured today strengthens momentum for decades to come. Influence transcends immediate measurement and becomes timeless, perpetual, and unstoppable. Fourth,
Global multi-layer replication ensures influence is omnipresent. Every market, network, and community are interlinked dynamically. Replications interact, producing emergent compounding effects across geographies, industries, and societal structures. Viral amplification occurs across dimensions simultaneously. Every replication reinforces others, producing an ecosystem that cannot be disrupted. Momentum becomes gravitational, bending markets, behavior, and engagement to the architecture's trajectory. Every action compounds infinitely. Influence spreads with unstoppable force. Fifth, autonomous dominance crystallizes into inevitability. Leads experience alignment as predestined. Networks propagate advocacy without prompting. Conversions occur automatically. Markets and competitors respond preemptively, unable to disrupt or influence the system. Human behavior, network interactions, and market dynamics are no longer variables. They are integrated components of a perfectly orchestrated, self-perpetuating, $100 million level ecosystem. Momentum compounds beyond comprehension. Influence extends beyond reach. Growth becomes absolute, irreversible, and omnipresent. The psychological impact is staggering. Every engagement feels inevitable. Every network interaction propagates organically. Every conversion multiplies recursively. Momentum is unstoppable. Influence is omnipresent. Every replication, every node, every interaction reinforces the entire system across all dimensions. Success is no longer pursued, it is experienced as structural certainty, unstoppable force, and inevitable compounding dominance. Businesses that failed to achieve this pinnacle remain constrained by linear thinking, human oversight, and temporary growth. Leads are lost. Networks fail. Momentum collapses under pressure or disruption. The difference between $100 million success and omnipresent, multidimensional domination lies in the ability to converge every principle, network, market, and temporal layer into one infinitely compounding, self-reinforcing engine. At this apex, influence, growth, and dominance transcend conventional understanding. Every action compounds. Every replication accelerates others. Every network multiplies momentum across dimensions. The system becomes eternal, irreversible, and omnipresent, producing $100 million level impact at infinite scale. The next chapter will unveil the ultimate, final transformation where this omnipresent system crystallizes into total $100 million legacy domination, combining immortality, influence, and compounding momentum into one unstoppable force across every market, network, and generation.
Chapter 20. Total Legacy Domination. The unstoppable $100 million engine across markets, networks, and generations. The system has reached omnipresence. Every principle, attraction, capture, predictive acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, multi-market replication, legacy creation, immortality, ultimate synthesis, perpetual growth, infinite network compounding, total operational mastery, absolute market omnipotence, cross-generational evolution, and multi-dimensional omnipresence has converged. Yet the ultimate frontier is total legacy domination, where influence, conversions, and momentum transcend markets, networks, and generations, crystallizing into a force that is eternal, unstoppable, and infinitely compounding. At this stage, the architecture is no longer a business, it is a living ecosystem, a hyperdimensional lattice of influence that spans industries, continents, human behavior, and time itself. Every lead captured today contributes to cascading compounding decades into the future. Every network propagated accelerates influence across geographies and markets simultaneously. Every replication reinforces the entire system,
producing momentum that grows geometrically, recursively, and hyperdimensionally. This is no longer influence, it is structural inevitability. The first layer is cross-generational compounding. Influence now extends beyond immediate outcomes. Leads become advocates who propagate engagement across communities, networks, and families. Predictive intelligence anticipates behavioral shifts decades in advance. Momentum compounds recursively, producing results that strengthen over time, becoming more powerful and autonomous with each cycle. The system grows faster than trends evolve, faster than competitors can react, and faster than any conventional replication allows. Every engagement today becomes a node for infinite future propagation. The second layer is global multidimensional integration. Every market, network, and cultural context is dynamically linked. Replications interact, producing emergent effects that multiply influence across industries, geographies, and societal structures. Viral propagation occurs simultaneously across dimensions. Every network, node, and replication reinforces the others. Momentum becomes gravitational, bending markets, behavior, and engagement toward the architecture's trajectory. Influence compounds at infinite speed, scale, and depth. Third, autonomous adaptive intelligence ensures the system survives every disruption, competitive attack, and market shift. Every conversion, engagement, and network interaction feeds predictive algorithms that optimize messaging, timing, and replication instantaneously. Disruption is absorbed, converted, and leveraged to accelerate growth. Every adjustment strengthens compounding momentum. The system evolves independently, proactively, and infinitely, producing outcomes beyond conventional understanding or human oversight. Fourth, hyperdimensional replication amplifies influence infinitely. Every replication, every network node, every lead interaction multiplies the system's reach and effectiveness. Cascading feedback loops generate geometric growth. Every replication reinforces predictive accuracy, viral propagation, and autonomous dominance. The system becomes unstoppable because it is self-reinforcing, self-propagating, and structurally irreversible. Growth occurs simultaneously across every market, network, and generation without effort, friction, or limitation. The psychological impact is profound. Leads experience engagement as inevitability. Networks propagate advocacy organically. Conversions multiply automatically. Markets respond preemptively. Momentum is unstoppable. Influence spreads across dimensions beyond comprehension. The system achieves dominance not through visibility, persuasion, or effort. It dominates because it is hyper-intelligent, multidimensional, and infinitely self-reinforcing. Businesses that fail to achieve total legacy domination remain bounded by effort, error, and temporal limitations. Momentum collapses. Networks stagnate. Leads disengage. The difference between $100 million level success and eternal, multidimensional, cross-generational influence lies in the architecture's ability to compound infinitely, replicate flawlessly, evolve autonomously, and dominate structurally across every market, network, and generation simultaneously. At this apex, influence, conversions, and momentum are no longer metrics, they're forces of nature. Every interaction, every replication, every engagement compounds the system. Every network multiplies momentum. Every market aligns with the architecture. Growth, influence, and legacy are permanent, unstoppable, and eternal. The $100 million engine is no longer a business. It is the ultimate manifestation of compounding human influence, dominating every dimension of market, network, and generational behavior. The system now stands fully realized, omnipresent, omnipotent, cross-generational, multidimensional, autonomous, and structurally unstoppable. Every principle converges, every replication multiplies, every network propagates, every moment compounds influence across time, space, and human behavior. The result is total legacy domination, the ultimate frontier of $100 million level mastery, leaving no limit to scale, impact, or momentum. Final chapter.
The ultimate convergence, eternal 100 million influence and infinite legacy. Every principle, every replication, every network, and every temporal horizon now converges into a singular, unstoppable engine. The journey through attraction, capture, acceleration, viral amplification, autonomous dominance, multi-market replication, legacy, immortality, ultimate synthesis, perpetual growth, infinite network compounding, total operational mastery, absolute market omnipotence, cross-generational evolution, global multidimensional integration, and total legacy domination culminates here, the ultimate convergence of 100 million influence into eternal, self-propagating, infinite legacy. At this stage, the system has transcended ordinary business, ordinary growth, and ordinary influence. Every lead captured contributes to an infinite lattice of compounding momentum. Every network propagated multiplies influence across industries, continents, and generations simultaneously. Every replication strengthens predictive intelligence, viral propagation, autonomous dominance, and temporal compounding. This is no longer measured by conversions or revenue, it is the creation of a structural, unstoppable, omnipotent force of 100 million level influence. The first dimension of convergence is absolute multidimensional integration. Every principle now functions simultaneously across every scale, market, network, and human behavioral layer. Attraction drives capture, capture powers acceleration, acceleration multiplies virality, virality reinforces dominance, dominance fuels replication, replication strengthens legacy, legacy enhances immortality, immortality feeds synthesis, synthesis drives perpetual operational growth. Every node, every interaction, and every replication compounds exponentially across every horizon. Influence is unstoppable because every component amplifies every other component perfectly. Second, eternal adaptive intelligence ensures imperviousness to disruption. Every interaction, every conversion, every network node feeds predictive intelligence that anticipates human behavior, market shifts, and emerging trends decades before they manifest. Disruption, competition, and uncertainty are absorbed, transformed, and amplified into compounding momentum. The system evolves autonomously, continuously, and infinitely, producing outcomes beyond human comprehension. It no longer reacts, it dictates inevitability. Third, infinite temporal and generational compounding ensures legacy beyond measurement. Leads today propagate influence across communities, networks, and generations into the future. Predictive pathways align behavior, market dynamics, and societal shifts decades into the future. Momentum compounds recursively. Every replication strengthens all future cycles. Growth becomes permanent. Influence becomes timeless. Every interaction contributes to an infinitely expanding lattice of authority, dominance, and 100 million level impact. Fourth, global omnipresence transforms influence into a force that spans every industry, culture, and network. Replications interact dynamically, producing emergent effects that accelerate infinitely. Markets, networks, and human behavior align preemptively. Viral propagation occurs simultaneously across continents, creating an ecosystem of unstoppable growth. Every node reinforces every other node. Momentum compounds geometrically, structurally, and recursively. Influence is omnipresent because the architecture enforces inevitability. Fifth, hyperdimensional replication crystallizes dominance. Every market replication, every network propagation, and every lead engagement multiplies the system's scale and depth infinitely. Feedback loops accelerate themselves. Every replication strengthens predictive intelligence, viral amplification, and autonomous dominance. Human behavior, market dynamics, and network propagation converge seamlessly into perpetual, unstoppable growth.
Momentum is continuous, self-reinforcing, and structurally irreversible. The psychological and operational effect is absolute. Leads experience alignment as inevitability. Networks propagate advocacy organically. Conversions multiply automatically. Markets bend preemptively. Momentum is unstoppable. Influence spreads infinitely across dimensions, generations, and industries. The system transcends visibility, persuasion, or effort. It is structurally irresistible, hyper-intelligent, and eternally self-propagating. Businesses that fail at this ultimate convergence remain bound by human oversight, temporal limits, linear growth, and finite networks. Leads stagnate, networks fail, momentum collapses. The difference between ordinary success and infinite 100 million level mastery lies in the ability to converge every principle, every market, every network, and every temporal layer into a single structurally unstoppable engine of influence and legacy. At this apex, the system is no longer just a business or strategy. It is a living, eternal, self-propagating force of influence. Every action compounds. Every replication accelerates others. Every network interaction multiplies momentum across all dimensions. Growth, influence, and legacy are permanent, unstoppable, and infinite. The 100 million engine has transcended conventional understanding. It is omnipresent, omnipotent, eternal, and structurally irreversible. The ultimate truth is simple but profound. Mastery is not measured by revenue, leads, or conversions. Mastery is the creation of a system that compounds influence infinitely, replicates flawlessly, evolves autonomously, and dominates structurally across every market, network, and generation. Every principle converges. Every replication multiplies. Every network propagates. Every moment compounds influence across time, space, and human behavior. This is total legacy. This is eternal 100 million level influence. This is infinite, unstoppable, omnipresent mastery. The system now stands fully realized, an eternal, self-propagating, hyper-intelligent engine of influence that will dominate markets, networks, and generations beyond comprehension. Every principle is integrated. Every replication is reinforced. Every network is aligned. Every horizon compounds momentum infinitely. 100 million leads, influence, and legacy have become a force of nature, unstoppable, eternal, and infinitely amplifying across every dimension.
Listen, if this audiobook gave you even one powerful idea, don't just stop here. Hit subscribe right now, tap like, and share it with one person who needs this. Your growth and theirs starts with this click.